You know, when you walk into a massive grocery store, like without a list, there's this very specific kind of psychological trap just waiting for you.
Oh, yeah. The layout gets you every time.
Right. You walk in thinking, I just need to grab ingredients for dinner, but then you're staring at an aisle with like 30 different brands of pasta
And
sauce.
they always force you right past the bakery section.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The fluorescent lights are humming, and suddenly you're walking out with 3 bags of jalapeno chips, a single pineapple, and absolutely zero actual meals.
Well, I mean, it's a complete environment design failure on your part, honestly. You assume you can just intuitively navigate all those options, but the store is literally mathematically optimized to overwhelm you.
And that is precisely the trap of drafting your 2026 fantasy football team. You log into your draft lobby, the 60-second clock starts ticking, your league mates are throwing out trades, and if you don't understand the underlying architecture of the player pool,
You're going to panic buy a roster full of junk food.
spot on. So, welcome to the special draft season deep dive brought to you by sportsbrackets.net. Today, we're handing you the ultimate stress-tested shopping list.
Yeah, the mission today is simple. We're getting you completely ready to dominate your 2026 draft.
And we're pulling from a seriously massive stack of premium sources today. We want to give you maximum value without, the information overload.
Right. I've been digging through the 2026 PPR draft boards and cheat sheets from sportsbrackets.net, and I'm cross-referencing those with Dan Parr's position tiers over at NSL.com, plus Mike Clay's ESPN projections.
Which is a lot of data to process.
It is, yeah. And then, to really pressure test it all, we're running those human evaluations against the full top 300 projections from RotoWire and the advanced simulation models from CBS Sports.
So we're covering the absolute top of the board, the sneaky sleepers, the hidden landmines, and the practical tools you need to win. Oh, and real quick, make sure you tune in for our next deep dive dropping Thursday or Friday. We are doing a massive college football preview.
You're not going to want to miss that one. But before we get into specific fantasy players today, we really have to talk about valuation.
Right, because just using a simple list ranking players from like 1 to 200 is just a terrible way to draft.
It's the worst way. We
Okay.
need to draft by tiers.
And just to put my cards on the table here, a tier is basically an insurance policy against statistical variance. Like, if you have 5 guys projected within 10 points of each other across a full 17-game season, ranking them linearly it's basically a lie.
It is. They're the exact same guy mathematically. You're just waiting to see which one falls to you.
Yeah, ranks tell you who is better in a vacuum, but tiers tell you when to actually draft them.
That is the exact mathematical reality. When you're looking at a block of players, say, wide receivers ranked 12th through 16th, the algorithms and the analysts agree their weekly output is statistically interchangeable.
So you don't just blindly click the guy ranked 12th because the app tells you to.
Exactly. You look at your roster construction, like, are you in a full PPR league?
Right, point per reception changes everything.
It does. That slight variance might push you toward the slot receiver who acts as a safety blanket over the perimeter deep threat who relies on those, low probability downfield targets.
But I feel like the real danger here and the main reason we use tiers is the tier cliff.
Oh, the tier cliff is where draft dreams go to die.
Seriously.
Explain that for the listener because it's so crucial.
So it's that moment on the board where the talent pool takes a steep, unrecoverable drop-off. Imagine there are 8 elite running backs in Tier 2, right?
Tracking.
6 of them have been drafted. It's your turn. You might look at a wide receiver who's technically ranked a few spots higher overall by the app, but if you don't grab one of those last 2 running backs,
You fall off a cliff.
you fall off a cliff into Tier 3. The point projections just drop significantly. So the strategy is to watch the board and grab the last remaining guy in a high tier before the talent pool just completely evaporates. Okay, I understand the math there, but let me push back a little, just playfully. What happens to the classic roster construction debates? Like hero RB versus zero RB.
Oh, the classic debates, right?
Yeah. If you're running zero RB and you're actively choosing to ignore running backs early to load up on elite receivers and suddenly the running back tier is drawing up in the 3rd round, do you panic? Like, do you reach for a running back or just strictly take the best wide receiver available?
Well, the beauty of the tier system is that it organically solves that debate without forcing you into a rigid ideology.
Really? How so?
Because if the running back tier is vanishing faster than expected, the tier system visually quantifies the opportunity cost for you. If the drop-off is steep enough, say, a projected 30-point difference by the end of the season, the math tells you to pivot and secure the back.
But what if the receivers are just way better?
Right, if the receiver's still on the board or a full 2 tiers higher than those remaining running backs, the point differential favors the receiver. You never force a position. You just let the natural flow of the draft fall to you.
That makes a lot of sense. And that positional depth argument perfectly transitions us to the actual 2026 board. Let's start at the very top, quarterbacks.
Yeah, let's get into it.
The reason the math tells us we can wait on QB is because of how the tiers are structured this year. According to Dan Parr's NFL.com data, Josh Allen is completely alone on an island.
He is. He is the entirety of Tier 1.
Which is crazy, but he's the only quarterback to finish top 3 in fantasy points per game for 5 consecutive years.
The mechanics of his game just break standard valuation models.
Yeah.
His offensive scheme relies on his arm for volume, but his frame and usage in the red zone mean he's basically the team's primary goal line back.
Yeah, that dual threat combo inside the 20 is just irreplaceable.
But if you miss out on Allen, you shouldn't panic.
Not at all, because Tier 2 is this massive boom or bust cluster. You've got Lamar Jackson, Drake May with the Patriots now, Joe Burrow, Caleb Williams, Jalen Hurts, and Jaden Daniels.
It's incredible value. Tier 2 and Tier 3 run a combined 15 players deep this year.
Wait, 15? That's half the league.
Exactly. The statistical difference between the 5th quarterback drafted and the 12th is remarkably thin. The sharp move is to let your league mates reach for a QB early, and you just wait.
Use that draft capital on skill positions instead.
Right, because you know a high upside runner like Jaden Daniels will still be sitting there in the middle rounds.
Which forces us to look at the positions where the tier cliffs are actually steep early on. Running backs.
Yeah, running back is brutal this year.
Let's settle the debate at the 1.01 spot. It's a 2-horse race right now between Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson. Who are you taking?
Based on the offensive environments, the consensus really leans toward Gibbs.
Over Bijan. Interesting.
Yeah, Bijan is a singular talent in Atlanta, obviously, but Detroit's high-powered offensive scheme just gives Gibbs the edge. Ben Johnson's play calling heavily features backs in the passing game, and Detroit generates way more red zone trips.
Your high-value touches inside the 20.
Exactly. Gibbs is just the safer mathematical bet for the first overall pick.
Okay, but right behind them, the elite Tier 2 running backs are still pretty formidable. You've got Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor, James Cook in Buffalo, Devon Achane, and Ashton Jeanty, the rookie.
Jeanty in Vegas is fascinating.
It's super rare for a rookie to debut in Tier 2, right?
Exceptionally rare. But the Raiders' depth chart is completely devoid of competition. His projected volume, we're talking potentially 20 touches a game right out of the gate.
Wow. 20 touches.
Yeah, and volume is the ultimate predictor of fantasy success. So
Yeah.
he demands that valuation.
Okay, let's shift out wide. I'm going to make a bold claim based on the ESPN and RotoWire projections, and I want you to debate me on this. Puka Nacua is our undisputed WR1 over Jamar Chase.
I mean, I can't really debate you because the underlying metrics absolutely support placing Nacua over Chase in full PPR.
Right. All about the target share.
Yeah, Nakua's target share in the Rams offense is built on quick screens, motion touches, and, high percentage intermediate routes. He has an incredibly high weekly reception floor.
Whereas Chase is more about the deep ball.
Exactly. Chase relies on explosive downfield targets, massive point totals when they connect, but they carry a lower completion probability. If you get a point for every catch, Nakua's sheer volume makes him the apex asset.
So that elite Tier 1-5 is Nacua, Chase, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and CeeDee Lamb. But we got to talk about the offseason moves. The landscape completely shifted.
Oh, massively.
A.J. Brown to the Patriots, Mike Evans to the 49ers, and DJ Moore to the Bills. How does all that movement affect their tier placements?
Well, A.J. Brown in New England gives Drake May an elite alpha weapon, but you kind of have to drop Brown down half a tier.
Because of the quarterback change.
Yeah, he's moving from a highly established system in Philly to a developing QB who is still processing NFL defenses.
Fair. What about Evans and San Fran?
That's a fascinating mechanical shift. His overall target volume will undoubtedly drop because he's sharing the field with McCaffrey, Debo, and Kittle. But
the red zone efficiency.
yes, his red zone efficiency should spike. Defenses have to crash down on McCaffrey inside the 5, leaving Evans isolated on the boundary for easy back shoulder fades from Purdy.
Okay, and then DJ Moore catching deep balls from Josh Allen in Buffalo.
That's a huge bump.
Wow.
Allen's arm strength stretches the deep third of the field, which forces safeties to play too high.
Which opens up the underneath routes.
Exactly. The crossing routes where DJ Moore generates massive yards after the catch, I think that bumps Moore up at full tier.
Totally agree. All right, rounding out the top of the board, tight ends. And this position is terrifying.
It really is.
You've got a two-man top tier, Trey McBride and Brock Bowers. And if you miss them,
It is the steepest tier cliff in the entire draft.
yeah.
The projected point drop-off to the next tier is severe. You go from guaranteed volume to guys dependent on random touchdown grabs.
But there's a safety net, right?
But-
The rookie wave.
Yeah, Colston Loveland in Chicago, Tyler Warren with the Colts, and Harold Fannin Jr. with the Browns. If you fall off that initial cliff, the data says to pivot to the unknown upside of those rookies.
Rather than drafting a low-ceiling veteran. Makes sense. Okay, so once those elite tiers dry up, we hit the middle rounds, which is where you actually win your league. Let's talk sleepers based on the CBS Sports computer models.
The CBS model is heavily prioritizing Paschal Tootin, the running back for the Jaguars.
Because Travis Etienne left for the Saints in free agency.
Right, so Tootin is staring at this massive, uncontested workload. Jacksonville ranked 8th in rushing attempts last year. They run a scheme that demands a heavy ground game, and Tootin has blazing, fast breakaway speed.
Stepping into a perfect environment, who else did the model flag?
Kenneth Gainwell in Tampa Bay. He's taking over Richard White's spot.
Wait, but Bucky Irving is still in that backfield. Todd Bowles said Gainwell is the 1B to Irving's 1A. Why does the model like the secondary option?
Efficiency metrics. Irving ranked dead last among qualified players last year with just 3.4 yards per carry. He needs immense volume to be relevant. Gainwell averaged 4.7 yards per carry and proved highly effective inside the 10-yard line.
Plus, Tampa Bay uses the running back in the passing game a lot.
Exactly. Gainwell doesn't need 20 carries. He needs 5 catches in space and a goal line plunge. Huge mid-round value.
Which brings up a major theme this year. Paths to volume for rookies. We mentioned Jonty and the tight ends, but the sheer influx of first-year talent is wild.
It's unprecedented.
At QB, you've got Jackson Dart with the Giants and Bo Nix in a bounce-back spot. RBs like Omarion Hampton, Quinshawn Judkins, Trevayon Henderson, Cam Skatebo, and out wide to Tyrone McMillan, Rome Odunze, Emeka Egbuka, Luther Burden III, Jordan Tyson.
A lot of names to process.
It is. So let me ask you this. Rome Odunze, Luther Burden III, and tight end Colston Loveland are all playing for the Chicago Bears. Caleb Williams is throwing to all of them.
Yeah.
How do you decide which one to draft when they're cannibalizing each other's targets?
You let their average draft position, their ADP, make the decision for you.
Let the market decide.
Yeah. ADP is essentially human psychology. Drafters are terrified of that target cannibalization in Chicago, so the market will artificially depress their value.
I see.
You don't reach for Odunze early if it means skipping a tier cliff at running back. You wait. One of those 3 rookies will inevitably slide down the board past their mathematical value.
And you just scoop up the discount.
Exactly. You buy into Caleb Williams' passing volume at a steep discount.
Love that. But models also flag danger. Let's talk landmines. Who is the biggest bust candidate?
The biggest red flag the CBS model produced was Sam Darnold in Seattle.
Now, he's coming off a Super Bowl win. That halo effect is going to make people draft him on name recognition alone.
Oh, 100%. But you have to separate real-life NFL success from fantasy mechanics.
Drafting him is like buying a used car with a lot of miles. It looks great on the lot, but you're constantly waiting for the engine light to come on.
That's a perfect analogy. Seattle runs a highly run-heavy offense to bleed the clock. Even with limited passing volume last year, Darnold led the NFL with 20 turnovers.
And they don't have Kenneth Walker III anymore to keep defenses honest.
Right. Coordinators are going to stack the box and dare Darnold to beat them through the air. The data strongly suggests negative game scripts and high turnovers. Aging vets and murky backfields are the ultimate trap.
Okay, so knowing who to draft is only half the battle. When you're sitting in the draft room, you need practical tools.
Yes, most critical advice. Print a physical cheat sheet and a physical snake draft board. Do not rely exclusively on the digital interface of the app.
Because the apps manipulate your view of the board. They only show you a narrow window of players based on their default rankings.
Exactly. The algorithm just spoon-feeds you the next highest-ranked player. When you have a physical board, you cross names off with a pen. You actually see the wide receiver tier evaporating in real time.
You spot the tier cliffs forming while everyone else is just staring at the top 5 names the app shows them.
It is a massive competitive advantage.
And for the league commissioners, set your draft order fairly with a randomizer. And keep the league fun all year with side games. Like a week 1 pick'em using spreads or a survivor pool.
Keeps everyone engaged, even if they start 0-4.
Exactly. And reminder, everything we just talked about, the tiered cheat sheets, the draft boards, the randomizers, they're all free printables on sportsbrackets.net. Links are in the show notes.
Make sure you grab those.
Okay, before we get out of here, let's put this data on the line. Rapid fire, draft him or fade him. I give you a name, you give me the verdict. First up, Jalen Hurts.
Draft him. The rushing floor in Tier 2 provides a mechanical safety net you just can't ignore.
Jamar Chase.
Fade him at his current ADP. Let someone else pay for that explosive variance. I want Naka's guaranteed volume.
Drake May in New England.
Draft him. A.J. Brown's arrival fundamentally changes the geometry of that offense. Defenses roll coverage to Brown. The middle of the field opens up for May.
Nice. All right, give me one bold call for the season.
Okay, the CBS model is projecting a massive disruption at tight end.
Yeah.
We talked about the tier cliff, but the model has a rookie tight end, and I'll let you dig into the cheat sheets on the site to see exactly who finishing in the top 8 overall.
Over guys like Kelce and Laporta.
Over Kelce and Laporta. The data suggests this rookie is going to leapfrog the veterans based on sheer scheme volume.
Oh, wow. Well, my bold call is on the negative side. I think a first-rounder is going to severely disappoint, specifically at running back. With this wave of rookies, we're going to see a veteran like Derrick Henry completely fall off the efficiency cliff.
The historical aging curves definitely support a steep decline, even for outliers like him.
Yeah, the Baltimore offensive line turnover means he has to create yards after contact behind the line of scrimmage. At his age, the math says he can't sustain that for 17 games.
It's a brutal reality of the position.
So, as you finalize your prep, remember the golden rule. Draft by tier, not by exact rank. Watch those tier cliffs and grab the free cheat sheets at sportsbrackets.net in the show notes. And subscribe on Spotify or iHeartRadio for our college football preview dropping later this week.
And before you go on the clock, I just want to leave you with one final thought. We've talked a lot today about this unprecedented wave of rookies, Ginty, Burden III, Loveland, who are projected for massive volume.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Are we witnessing a fundamental shift in the NFL? Is the fantasy value of veteran experience finally being entirely eclipsed by sheer youth and manufactured rookie touches? Something to think about.
Good luck out there.